Good day, students. Welcome to our presentation. This is Mother Tongue Literacy and Development, English, or MT English 2. I am Miss Andima, and I'm going to be taking you through the presentation, rather the exam-based presentation for this year 2022. That is the subject code MT2E. This is meant for DPPE as well as the DJPE students. My contacts as displayed there, my mobile number, and the time that you are supposed to contact me, that is the time that is convenient for the tutor, from 1700 hours to 1900 hours. But I mostly prefer an email because whether I am available or not available that specific time, I'll always find the information that you have penned down via email, and I can always get back to you. Okay? Welcome to 2022, and most importantly to this wonderful yet interesting module, Mother Tongue English 2. Dear students, please take note of the following very important information. Please note that Mother Tongue Literacy and Development 2, English, is a combination of the course content for two aspects, or two courses rather, that is DPPE as well as DJP. What does this supposed to mean to you as a student? Well, it means that you are supposed to familiarize yourself with the content from both courses. Basically, there are two study guides, one for DPPE and another one for DJPE, but both for Mother Tongue English 2. So what I'm emphasizing here is that the assessments, that is the assignment as well as the examinations, are set in a way that they are taken from the two courses content, that is DPPE and DJPE. So do make it your responsibility to acquaint yourself with the content of both courses. Also, very importantly, throughout your course, take note of the keywords, as some information, maybe same topic, is presented differently in the two study guides. It could be that, let's say we are dealing with listening as a topic in DJPE, and when you also go to the study guide for DPPE, there is a unit or a topic on listening. However, the information that is presented under these two specific topics might slightly be different. So you have to read both and make sure that you have an understanding of how the two course contents are coming together. All right. The next also important point, make sure you study your IOL study guide very well, because all the questions, like I've highlighted before, all the assessment questions, that is the assignment as well as the examination, will obviously be from these sources or these study guides. Pay attention to your assignments. The assignments are very important because they set a basis for your course. It is the first assessment activity that you get, and you have got an idea now. It gives you an idea of specific questions, as how questions are phrased, as what is expected of you in terms of assessment. What is it that the tutor or the lecturers look at when they need information, or what kind of knowledge that you need to get from that. So assignments are very important because they also serve as a guide for us to prepare for us for the examination. Once you have an idea of how questions are phrased that you learn from the assignments, then it will be easier for you during examination. Another important aspect of assignment is that they are very important because they prepare you for the examination. It's from the assignment that you qualify to write the examination. If you fail the assignments because they serve as an entry for you to the examination, then you are out. The due dates are very important. When you register from the beginning of the year and you get your assignments, so make sure that you are aware of the due dates so that you don't lose out on submitting your assignment on time, and then you disadvantage yourself. Upon receiving your assignments from the tutor, take note of the feedback. The feedback that is in the form of the marking, as well as the comments, because these comments are a guide. They serve as a guide to actually guide you or let you know how you're supposed to answer the question, just in case maybe there is a question that you missed or that you did not answer correctly. The tutor or the marker will always make some highlights as well as the comments in order to guide the students. Then it will definitely benefit you when you write maybe your next assignment, or when you go for the examination. Then you will definitely know how to handle that specific question. So it is important to look at the feedback, most importantly those comments from the marker. The next one is read the questions carefully. It doesn't matter whether it's for the assignment or for the examination. Why is it important to read the questions? Because the questions are the instructions that give direction as to what is expected of you. When you don't read the questions carefully, you are likely to misinterpret, then you give wrong answers, which will disadvantage you in return. So read the questions carefully to understand what is asked. Many students give wrong answers as they do not understand what is asked in the question or what is expected of them. But to be on the safe side, in order for what will help you to understand the questions better when you are reading them, there is what is called sorry, my apology for that. There is what is called the keywords. Each and every study guide at the beginning at the beginning of each study guide, you find a list of action verbs. These are the main verbs that are included in a question by the examiner who sets the examination, and it indicates exactly what is expected of you. For example, action words like describe, explain, discuss. So if you have an idea and an understanding of what those action verbs mean, then it will be easier for you to answer accordingly, be it in assignments or maybe examinations. So taking note of this keywords or action words, it is very beneficial to you as a student because you do the things correctly. I don't think you will list instead of discussing. Obviously, listing will not carry an amount of marks equivalent to the marks that is asked, for instance, for you to explain. And another thing also, the guiding tool is the number of marks as well. If you look at the mark allocation as per a specific question, it might also guide you of how much you're supposed to answer. what exactly am I supposed to do? Because if you see maybe the question has got 5 marks and it says list, and then you are giving heavy explanation, long explanations. You look at your long explanation and you look the marks allocated, then obviously you will see something is not right. So marks allocation also guides you on doing the correct thing. Okay. Study your IOL study guide very well, because all questions will be from this. So that is, there you are. It's an advantage for you. It also becomes easier for you in terms of time management and all that, because you don't have a lot of places or sources to touch on, but basically you stick to your study guide. But this does not mean you should not consult other sources in order to widen your subject knowledge. You may as well consult other sources, other books, other sites, where those that contain the same, probably the same topic that is at hand. It just to broaden your understanding in that specific area or topic. However, when it comes to the examination, obviously the questions will be from the study guides that are provided by IOL. Examinations. Understanding how to answer a question. Every exam paper is set in 3 levels of difficulty. Level 1. Okay, in level 1, you'll find, rather say that is the lowest level of questions. We can say those are easy questions. And then we go to level 2, where the questions are average. They are not too easy and they are not too difficult. The higher the level, the more difficult or the more complex the question becomes. So again, I'll refer you to the list of action verbs that I have mentioned earlier, that is found at the beginning of your study guide. The list of those words, those are the words, or those action verbs are the ones also that indicate the intensity of the level that is contained in the question. These levels are usually indicated by specific verb that leads the question. That's just what I have highlighted. And I've also told you about where to find them. You will have to study this list. You will have to understand. Otherwise, you will lose marks when not knowing what to do. If you just list instead of explaining, obviously you will lose marks. You will lose some of the marks, and you probably get few marks. And you okay. An example is that if you list, if it's supposed to be list and explain, and you just list 5, and then maybe the marks are 10, you obviously just get 5 marks, and then you lose the other 5 marks that are supposed to be for the explanation that you're supposed to provide. You wouldn't really want to lose marks just because of that negligence for you. You had time to go through those action verbs and familiarize yourself, and you really know what is expected of you. So students, take note of that and take advantage of that. It's also very important to study. Be able to apply the following to different sentences. Punctuations, they are very important because they guide your writing for it to make sense. Capitalization, sentence structure, in order for us to make meaning out of our writing. Otherwise, if the marker has to struggle to understand what we have written just because of the absence of the punctuation marks, then it is not good. You end up losing marks. So just make sure that your grammar is correct in terms of how the sentences are structured, and they are well punctuated. Then we will not have problems. Having said all that, most importantly, read. Don't only read, understand, and once you understand, then follow all instructions in the question paper or in the assignment. Let's just run through quickly the course description or the aims of our beautiful course, Mother Tongue 2 English. This course aims to develop a theoretical understanding, values, and competencies to develop listening skills in our learners or students, to demonstrate and explain the development of speaking competencies, analyze the development of and support reading and writing competencies, examine additional teaching and learning activities for junior primary reading development, examine the teaching, learning activities and materials for language development. This course description or aims, you also find them at the beginning of the study guide that you receive. All right, as we continue, we are going into some of the aspects that are associated with the examination. Please do write clearly in cases where you have to write, or type correctly if for instance, maybe the assessment has to be done if it's an online version, and number all the questions accordingly, whether it's examination or the assignment. You need to number and indicate your questions carefully so that the marker is not confused and make decisions that may disadvantage you. Where there are optional questions given, please clearly indicate your choice by numbering. If this is, for example, if maybe you have question 3, then the instruction says choose 2 questions only. Then you have 3.1, 3.2, 3.4, but you are only supposed to take or to choose 2 questions from that question 3. It doesn't matter which one you choose. What is important here is that the questions that you have chosen should be numbered correctly for the sake of the marker. And it does not also mean you should answer all the questions even though the instructions says you should choose, because in most cases we come across this, the students just choose, they don't choose, they answer all the questions and they leave it to the marker to choose. You might just lose everything. So what is important? Follow instructions. Choose and number your questions correctly. As simple as such. For these exams, students should be able to know the following, such as items that may help children's listening development, how a teacher can identify listening difficulties in a learner, and support or provide them with support. In this study guides, we also find what is called the figurative or idiomatic expression. Please make sure that you understand these idioms or this figurative language. At instances, students, with my experience from the previous examination, is that students fail to follow the instructions, especially with these idiomatic expressions. It is that at some point you are asked maybe the meaning of, to provide the meaning of that idiomatic expression, or you are supposed to integrate that a specific idiomatic expression into your sentence, into a sentence, in order for you to show that you understand how it's supposed to be applied or how it's supposed to be used in a sentence. So what I'm emphasizing here is that As students, please do make sure that you understand exactly what is expected of you, especially in this specific or under this specific aspect of figurative language. Phonemic awareness skills, we find them in our study guides there. Let's just make sure that we follow the instructions correctly and do the right thing. Different learning difficulties that can be experienced by various learners in different school settings. Print conventions children learn incidentally when a teacher reads to them. We have characteristics found in children with auditory perception problems. Also, do make an effort to familiarize yourself with words that are synonymous to each other. I'm saying this because in some instances or some study guide you'll find that maybe it mentions like children with hearing problems, and in another study guide you'll find that it is written auditory perception problems. It's to you as students to know that it's referring to the same thing or to a different thing. What is the other word of a specific item that is being explained? If people are talking about visual problems, auditory perception problems, and hearing problems, is it the same thing or not the same thing? So you don't get confused when you find that another word that is synonymous to what you know is used. It's not wrong to use synonyms of different words that mean the same thing. What is important here to you as a student is just to make sure that you are familiar with all these items that are synonymous to each other, so that whichever is applied, you are able to handle it, or you are able to answer the question. Activities that can develop analysis and synthesis skills. Methods and materials that facilitate development of speaking and vocabulary. We also have skills on how a teacher can help learners to make a book and draw own stories. Another one is key element of active listening. And all these items are found under different units in our study guide. It's also up to you as a student to take it upon yourself and see which one is found where under which unit. We have a concept of shared reading. You should understand what shared reading is and how can it be applied in the classroom setting. Public skills or communication skills, as it may be called in some of the sources, that are needed by the teacher in order to interact well with the learners as well as with the community. You will find these skills in your study guides. There is also what is called phonics as well as phonological awareness. You ought to differentiate or to know the difference between those two. The next one is activities which can be used to check comprehension of the story during and after storytelling. This has to do with the speaking in the classroom. Activities to develop analysis and synthesis skills. We also have the KWL approach that is applied during the storytelling or the speaking sessions in the classroom. Students ought also to differentiate between the two terms, which is listening as well as hearing. Of course, they may sound synonymous, but they are different in terms of their meaning as well as their application. So do take note of that. Items that may help children's listening development are such as songs, rhymes, poems, short stories, and folk tales. Not limited to this, because obviously your study guide, DPPE, will probably have different answers or different activities, and then, different items, and then maybe DJPE also has different items, and this one is taken from one of the two. So just make sure that you are aware and you're familiar with which if even if they are different, but they are items that will help children's listening development. Whichever you give, it does not matter as long as they are correct. We have the key elements for active listening there. Like pay attention to the speaker, show that you're listening, provide feedback, defer judgment, respond appropriately. So these are probably taken from the DPPE study guide, but it's not a problem if you go to the DJPE study guide, then you find elements that are different from these ones. They are also correct. And you also have a choice during the examination or your assignment. It does not matter, even if you are doing DPPE, but you gave the answers that are from the DJPE, the study guide, is not a problem as long as they are correct, because the content is supposed to be one. The general guidelines for teaching listening. You must set up a purpose for listening. You must set the stage and air your expectation for listening. Make the listening activity short and meaningful, because you are dealing with young people, your children in the class. Integrate listening activities with other meaningful experiences. Demonstrate the listening skills by attending when children speak and respond with respect. Avoid repeating own or children's responses. Shared reading is an interactive activity whereby the teacher reads with a class or a group using a larger book that has a big print. What are the advantages, or what are the benefits of shared reading from the side of the learners? It helps them, those that are struggling with reading, it helps them with necessary support. It also allows learners to enjoy materials that they will not be able to enjoy when they are on their own. Shared reading of predictable text can build sight, word knowledge, and reading fluency, because they are reading with the teacher, they can see what the teacher is pointing, they will get to recognize specific words. Importantly also on that note, you should also look at the methods that promote children's awareness as well as the value of reading. So we have just decided to go into details to some of those specific items. However, not even though not everything, but I believe it will be helpful, or it will also be of guide to you as students, just to make it easier to find the information. But the rest of the information, we should navigate through the study guides and be able to find or locate this information and understand it. The print conventions children learn incidentally when a teacher reads to them. The benefit or the advantages that the learners get from this is that they come to realize that print has meaning, that a book is read and contains interesting stories and information. They learn how to handle a book, how to interpret pictures. They can identify the cover, front, back of the book, top and bottom, and how to hold the book correctly. They will also get to recognize the reading, to recognize that the reading is done from left to right. They also learn how the story is structured. So, at this stage the children or the learners are at that exploratory stage. They want to explore and they are discovering a lot of interesting things. So this is one of the interesting part when you're teaching them the print conventions. They are coming to discover, some of them come to discover only this thing in the classroom, although some come already with an exposure from outside, but it's very important to pay attention to the stage as a teacher. How do you provide support to learners with speech difficulties? Again, I would like to emphasize here that the DPPE study guide will contain information that is different from the DJPE study guide, but that information is both correct and useful. So just see how to eat that. Which answers are you going to go for? There is not a problem as they are both correct. It is the same thing with the communication skills. The DPPE study guide has its own as well as the DJPE. So the choice is yours, students. The activities for enhancing analysis and synthesis skills among the primary school learners. Those activities are such as looking at the puzzles or working with puzzles, building blocks, construction toys, loose felt material pictures, loose letters to rebuild a name. This we have already gone through the public skills. It's just that they are presented twice because some are from DJPE and some are from DPPE. So like I indicated earlier, you have got a choice which one to go for, which one is more convenient for you to deal with. During assessments, when we are talking about assessment, like I kept on emphasizing, we are talking about both the assignments as well as the examination. Take note once more in conclusion, take note of the action verbs. They are very important because they direct you of what to do. These are the instructions that tell you what is expected from you. Refer to the list always in the study guide, those action words or action verbs that I have highlighted before. And in conclusion, take note. As a teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, touches a heart, and changes the world. So you are the change agent of this world to make it a better place for each and everybody through imparting knowledge. I wish you all the best with your studies as well as your examination. Thank you very much.